Alright, here we go. It's going to be do a clutch on this 97 Mitsubishi 3000 GT. It's going to be a first time, so hopefully we don't run into too many problems. Alright, disconnected the battery. Got to disconnect these intake. Not breaking anything. Disconnect the snap flow. Let's see what we got here. Then we'll try to get rid of these linkages next. Disconnect the slave cylinder. And go from there. Alright, I'm going to take out as much stuff out of the way as possible. So nothing's in our way when we got to take the tranny out later. Everything's on jack stands. Put these bolts back in so we don't lose them. Try to mark as much stuff as we can. A little spacer there. We got to take this bracket out eventually. The trans. Get this battery out of the way. Give us some more room to work. Alright, so this the clutch sleeve down there appears to have 2 bolts in it right there. I'm going to take the all the bolts out of all of the hydraulics and the linkage here, and we'll go from there. Loosened everything up already. Appears to be pretty straightforward so far. This is the easy part for all you guys out there. Oops. Let's see. Get these bolts out of the sleeve. And you want to try to mark where all of these bolts are coming from, so they all go back in the same spot. I'm also going to disconnect all the electric on the transaxle now, so I don't forget later. We got one right here. We got another one down here. This model has cruise control on it, so we got the extra sensor for the cruise. Okay. And I'm going to pull the rest of these bolts out, free up this slave. I'm going to free up this linkage and get this out of the way. And I don't think I'm going to disconnect the bolts on the transaxle just yet from the motor until I get the whole car supported. And we'll take all of those out later on. See, these bolts that went in the transaxle are thicker than are longer than the ones that went into the slave cylinder. I'll get that one later. and where we can, we'll put the bolts back in. There's a little spaces that fell down, but we'll get all of that underneath the car there. And I'll put these back in here so I don't get confused. They go back. And then I'll wire all of this stuff up, get it out of the way. Yeah, since I don't have the car on jack stands yet, since I'm doing this on the floor, I'm just going to not take the bolts out all the way, but loosen up these bolts that are attaching the transaxle to the motor. Just so this way it's a little easier when I got the thing on jack stands. Hopefully I can get it high enough and get a little bit more leverage here, and we'll go from there. And I need a smaller breaker bar, and I'm also going to loosen up the bolts on this motor mount. We got 3 others there, so we'll support the motor once we get it up in the air. And then there's a little 10mm bolt with some electrical wires here. I'm going to disconnect that for the frame support that goes underneath the car. Once I have the car jacked up, that's going to have to come out, and so this way we got enough room to take the transaxle out. Alright guys, I'll try to get you in here. I noticed by loosening up some of these bolts, you got some facing this way, then you got some others that are facing the other way, so don't forget that. You got your ground wire here on this side, and then you got another, I think it's a 14 or 15mm bolt here that holds the wiring harness, but that also goes through the bell housing into this bracket on the, it looks like right underneath the motor mount there. And then these wires here are the ones I was saying I was going to take apart later, because this bracket down here is what's got to come out for later. But we'll get that when we get the car up in the air. All right. Yeah, to get this bolt here, the one that's in reversed, I had to use long extension with a swivel and get in there, because in lieu of dropping the whole exhaust and that oxygen sensor's in the way, that's the only way I could get it, and I just loosened it up with that. And not the easiest thing to get into. I'm glad I did it before I jacked the whole car up, because that worked out a lot easier than doing it when the car's jacked up. I'm going to actually take this bolt all the way out right now, because I don't know if I'll be able to readily get it when this thing's jacked up. Should be interesting to put this bolt back in and reassemble, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. So you only have a very short stroke of the ratchet. Once it gets loose, it should come right out. Alright, let's slip this baby back in. And unfortunately, the back side's probably going to be the same way, because there's one back there, but really nothing I can do with that one from here. I'm going to have to wait till the car is on the jack stands to get at that one. Alright, it's loose. They give you a little window here so you can see the bolt coming out. Perfect. There it is. Well, hopefully the other side goes better than this one. Alright, we got to take the axle out, so we have to take this whole assembly apart. So, start taking out the brakes, and we'll take out this whole unfortunately got to take everything apart here to get this axle out. The other side, I'm going to try to just loosen up the axle and see if we can slide everything this way. So I'm going to have to take the whole assembly apart on the other side, but it is what it is. And I marked up the alignment bolts here with a chisel, so this way everything goes back the same way it came off. You know what? Let me get. I just painted these not too long ago, so let me get some wire, so this way we can support these better. Gotta get this nut off. Let's see if she's loose. She is loose. So we gotta get a little swing on this to get this out. Let's see. 17 millimeter. Nope. 3/4 maybe. Yeah, I don't have all my metric wrenches, so we have to do. It actually fits pretty good. It must be an aftermarket. Let's try the old taparoo. No. All right. Oh, where did I put it? Okay. Let's put this push puller on. Up. Let's see. Hold this together. Sometimes when we hold it together with our channel locks and whatnot. Keeps from. There we go. Just like that. That's out. Perfect. Get the loosen up the ball joint. Speed this up on put this in video mode a little quicker. I had to change this axle not too long ago, and it was rusted in there pretty good. So I got an 8-inch 3-jaw puller, put it around here, and then just drove it out with the impact gun. That's one of the only ways to get it out when it's really good and tight in there. So saved me a little aggravation this time. And let's see if this will come right out. There we go. Couple of whacks and she's loose. And there's my telephone. So I will take the rest of this apart and show you guys when the axle's out. Alright, let's take the rest of this stuff apart. And I marked all of these bolts, so this way they go back for alignment purposes. It'll be all good. Won't change nothing. Okay, let's see what we got here. Put these babies together. So, in a perfect world, this should come right apart. Oops. Don't want to mess up the boot here. So, just push this down. Slides right out. Alright, I'm going to try to do this without too much fanfare. You have to get that in there. And there we go. Oh, and I forgot, oil leaks out. And that's that. I'm going to get an oil bucket, and this slides right out, but before I pull it all the way out, I'm going to get my bucket for some, catch that oil. Now, got the car supported in the front. Everything's supported, jack stands. I'm going to take this frame brace out. This has to get out of the way, so jack the tranny. Alright, while I charged the battery and everything, I took out the support bracket, or pushed this down. I took out the bracket that supports the driver's side axle. That's over there. 2 bolts go into the motor. I made this so it slides out, and that slides out. I supported it with wire. And I took all the bolts out of the bottom of the trans axle here, and I'm going to come over on this side and take out the bolts here from the wheel well for the transaxle mount. The problem is they are deep in there, and if they fall down into the frame. So I'm going to take a little black tape, loop it in, and put it in the socket, try to stick the bolt and get the bolt to stick in there, and we'll see how that works out. If I had some like Play-Doh or something, I think that would work out better, but we'll try this. So here we go. I'm going to shut us off for a minute. Alright, so that little trick is, we're going to take a little tape, cut it off, flip it around, put all the sticky sides facing out, stick it in the socket a little. Let's get a screwdriver, stick it in a little bit. And then, I think I made these a little too big. Let's do that again. Let's make it a little smaller. So there's not as much play. Let me do this. Let's see. Let's stick that in there. And let's see. I had loosened these up already. Hopefully, that seems like it's loose. Let's see if she'll come out in one unit. See if the bolt's stuck in there. And it is. See? The black tape holds the bolt tight. So take that out. We'll do the same thing for all 4 bolts. And then when we put them back in, we do the same thing in reverse. Stick the bolt into the socket, the tape. Seems like it's loose. There we go. Another bolt. But use new tape each time because it gets dirty every time you stick it on there. So you don't want to lose one bolt if you can. If you have a big magnet, you can stick it on the extension, and it should magnetize it enough that it'll hold the bolt in a perfect world. There we go. One more. And I already took the bolts out of the top of the mount. Last one. I probably should have left one bolt in that mount on the other side so it don't just fall down. Alright, you got that supported there. Pull this last one out. And come up here and we'll take this motor mount out of the way. Alright, now everything's disconnected. It's ready to, I'm going to support it with the jack, and we're going to take the rest of those bolts out, and I'll put the camera back on when I get them out. Well, this was a little unexpected. I didn't realize that this cooling pipe, the antifreeze, goes right by the bell housing, so I had to drain the antifreeze, and there's a little screw right underneath this tube. Pull that out, and this supposedly is O-ringed, so let me see if it'll pull out without destroying the O-ring. I don't think there's, oh, there is another, there's another tube here. Okay, let me undo that one. There's one more hose. I wonder it's not coming out. Let's see if I can get this camera to stay here. There we go. Yes, and the O-ring don't look bad. Perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna remove the rest of these bolts, and then we'll see if this tranny comes out, or at least moves. I got the jack underneath it right now. I think this is the last 3 bolts in here. Let's see. And I'll leave one in just to a little support. You know what? I'll leave these 2 top ones in. I'm just gonna move them out a little. And let's see if we could shake this baby loose a little. Yep, it's already coming apart. Perfect. Let's see. You know what? It should come right out. And it will. Alright, perfect. Alright. Give me 2 minutes. I got to get a helper because I'm doing this whole job by myself, but I don't want to drop this transmission, so stand by. Alright, so we're going to remove this last bolt here. These last 2 bolts. Actually, I'm going to have to shake this a little to get this last bolt out. Jonathan, can you just pump up just a little bit, push the handle down, that's it, that's it. Alright, now pull the whole jack towards you very slowly. Actually, hold on, Jonathan. Let me get a screwdriver in now. See. Uh-oh. This is what can happen, is the clutch gets fused to the spindle. Alright, pull the jack a little towards you, Jonathan. Alright, we're free. I'm going to hold up the back of this tranny. Alright. Let's, I'm going to go on the floor, guys. So. This clutch is pretty fried. Springs are shot. And you can see how she was heating up. Pressure plate had no pressure on it. Alright, time for a new one. Alright, the last thing, take this flywheel off. I'm going to get this thing sent out, honed down. And I'm this far, might as well get that cleaned up. I got these all nice and loose. And I'm into this for about, I'd say about 5 hours now, maybe a little bit more. And just disassembling. This is my first time doing this kind of car. Haven't done a clutch in a while, so I guess if I had the service manual, it probably would have been a little easier. Getting a little prepped beforehand, but that's that. And when I get this clutch back, this flywheel back, and the clutch comes in the mail, I will give you guys part 2 of this install of a new clutch on Mitsubishi 3000 GT.